Hi, welcome to episode 9 of Data Product Mindset. I'm Anthony Cosgrove, the co-founder of Harbr, the private data marketplace platform that enables the discovery, access, use of data products at scale. Today, I'm joined by Diego Rodriguez. Welcome, Diego. He's a data scientist by background and now a data product manager at CoreLogic. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No, so I kind of usually intro a little bit around why this is going to be interesting at the start, and for you, it's I think really, really easy. Uh, you are a commercial data product manager at a very large commercial data vendor, and I think you guys are just way ahead of the pack, as most commercial data product managers are when it comes to data product management. A lot of our users are fairly new to the discipline. They may be doing it internally rather than commercially, which is a similar but different beast. And I think your experience around what happens when you try to manage data products at scale is going to be super interesting to everyone. So thank you very much for joining us. Really looking forward to this one. Why don't we start by just, tell us a bit more about kind of what you do in CoreLogic and what a typical day looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the exciting things of working at CoreLogic is that every day, every week's a little bit different. And because I'm heavily invested in managing data products, I'm also on a customer-facing person within the organization, which I think a lot of product managers can be. It's really beneficial. So I play both sides of the fence. And so it actually, being external facing really helps with managing products and managing products helps inform how I position them with clients. So it's a really good to be wearing both of those hats. But maybe I'll just take a quick step back and introduce the company for your listeners.
Sure.
So CoreLogic is a info services company. It's been around for multiple decades in the United States and in some markets abroad as well. And we are a main provider of real estate and real estate related data products, and also solutions. So we're branching more into technology and trying to provide as much value as we can for our existing and new clients.
Perfect. And that's a really nice segue, right? You've mentioned products, you've mentioned solutions, you've mentioned technology. All in that kind of intro. How do you think about data products? Feel free to kind of give some examples. But I guess for you specifically, kind of how do you think about product versus solution is probably a really interesting question for everyone listening to this.
Yeah, absolutely. So my opinion on that is really tied to my experience with CoreLogic and the data that we have. So at its essence, CoreLogic data is aggregated from counties. So it's a lot of it's raw data that if you're thinking about maybe using a food analogy, it starts off very unrefined, right? So it's like flour, and we have a lengthy pipeline for getting that data travels before it gets to our customers. And so we can insert machine learning, we can insert refinement at different places. And some customers want to buy the flour, and some customers want to buy a more refined product. So I think so data has many different meanings to me depending on the customer and what their needs are. But I think the benefit of working with the data that we work with is that we help guide its journey. We can figure out how to best position it with customers based on their needs and at the stage of data that we have that it's in. So I work as a technical person, as an analytical person. I also have the ability to work with the refined data and try to manipulate it so that it can be demonstrated to a customer for their needs. So providing a proof of concept, and that's actually where I spend a lot of my time, is helping a customer understand, if they were to consume this data, what would that look like in using their analytical people, using their use cases. And so we get glimpses into early on in the engagement process, customers' needs, and we try to speak to that, and we try to help them, help demonstrate to them what that would look like, but from our end. So I do enjoy wearing the analytical hat as well, and playing that role for them. Yeah.
And kind of just thinking about your analogy, where you've got some users really interested in quite a raw product. So let's say a very large table of data being an example of that.
Mm-hmm.
And other customers wanting something that's a lot more refined. So it might have gone through an algorithm or some analytical process in order to create a different output, which maybe that's still a table, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's a visualization. Maybe it's a very short list. Maybe it's some kind of app. How do you think about product in relation to that? So are each of those things products, or is the product the whole thing, and there are different mechanisms for consuming it? Like, how do you define that, and why, I guess?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I think of the product as something that's usable, that has a specific, that meets a specific need. So I think the if we're refining a product for demonstration or for evaluation purposes, sorry, we're refining an asset, then I think what we produce is the product. Because what we can do is fit it into, we can pipe the data into a visualization. We can pipe the data product into a report, so a summary, if you will, and we often do that, right? That's part of our process. So, for example, a lot of public record U.S. data, it's county based, so we're providing a lot of summaries or reports at the county level to give users insight into coverage and quality for those respective counties. And so a lot of our reporting can be aggregated to that level, to that geographic level. And that also translates into how we visualize the data too. But yeah, I would say the visualization is the product. I think the refined data asset becomes a usable product, and that we can, because we have the ability in the team to manipulate the data for the use case, to demonstrate the use case. We can tailor it to the specific industry that the audience is from. So whether it's real estate, finance, insurance, and then also blending of data sets. There's a lot of data blending, but I think that's important because that's what our customers are doing too. We know that what they license from us may not be the only thing they use to enhance a model. So we think about what else they might be consuming, or we think about, their needs as being more than one data asset. It could be a blend of our different data assets. And so we're often showcasing more than one asset at a time in a visualization, in a summary report, in a demonstration.
Got it. And kind of when you talk about a product, like, what does that mean for you? Like, what would what would be the characteristics, or what would be the boxes that you would want to tick or have to tick in order to say, this is now a CoreLogic product?
So it's interesting because our general philosophy is that for CoreLogic, right, it's the data that we have is essentially we say that it's the truth, right? So we want to provide as CoreLogic at large, as unrefined of a data asset as possible, because customers have different interpretations of things. So like an example of that is, if you talk to 10 different customers, they might have 3 or 4 different definitions of what a residential property is.
Right.
And that might initially seem strange because when you think of residential property, you think of a house, you think of a single family residence. But it's not just that. It's also what is that? What is the county? How does the county classify the land that that parcel sits on, versus what is how is the property classified in a loan? And so, really, what a data product is an interpretation. And so we're internally we're aligning, agreeing on on the characteristics of a property, and being able to present that point of view to a customer through data. And we may not necessarily, so in a way, it's like we're telling them how we think about it, but ultimately, it's a product when they've agreed to either adopt that interpretation, or they provided us with one of their own, so that we can help mold the asset into the thing that's going to be most useful to them. So
Good.
a lot of it is collaboration with the clients. We're really understanding how their definition compares to ours, and then manipulating it so that it's more relevant, more useful.
Perfect. Got it. And I mean, there's, you've gone through quite a lot there in terms of, working with the customer to initially understand, how they define a particular data element or a particular semantic meaning. You've spoken a bit about trialing and kind of adapting and molding the data to different needs. You've also spoken about bringing kind of different assets together to help the customer get to kind of the outcome that they're looking to achieve. So like you're like doing a lot of different things. What are the like key lessons you've learned while you've been doing all of these things? Like, what are the things you would share with other people and say, look, that's really important. Don't do this, or definitely do that.
I think it's definitely to have a point of view on what data quality means.
Mm-hmm.
So, we think of the data that we have, that we license. We think it's very, very high quality in terms of what was captured from source, from record, and what we're able to sort of put together and sell. I also think that we do an incredible job with modeling. So there are some products that we have, that CoreLogic has worked really hard to put to market, particularly around the mortgage space. So I think understanding what quality means for a product like that, it can mean different things to different people, and also at different levels of the data. And so just having general awareness of that to communicate that outwards, and then also across the organization, that sort of sets the right expectation for how the data should be interpreted, should be understood, and also communicated to customers or to end users. I think data transparency and data ethics is important. So
Okay.
Because we encourage our customers to come to our environment and try out our data and try out our use cases and our refined products before they license. There's sort of commingling of our data and their data, and so
Yep.
we like to be transparent with them about how responsible we are with the data that they bring onto our evaluation platform, for example, or what we're doing with the data that we model. And so there's just a general transparency around data modeling, handling customer data. And so we want to communicate that across to our customers when we engage with them. And then I think I'm in a unique position where I feel like I get to innovate, right? I think creating data products is also innovation.
For sure.
And that's really beneficial. I think that's really beneficial for not just our clients, but also the organization. And so I think having an innovation mindset is important, even if it's small scale, even if it's just an internal proof of concept, for something larger, right? You don't know necessarily what that's going to become, but I think it's important as for product managers, specifically data product managers or data analysts, to sort of have something that they can incorporate innovation into their workflow.
And I mean, just on that last point, I think a lot of data product managers start with some form of innovation, right? There's usually an idea. Maybe there's some trigger event that leads them to start building a data product, whatever it happens to be. And they go through that innovation cycle. They get a product out there into the market. People start using it. If they've done their job well, hopefully that's a lot of value that those people are getting. They can see that value. They can build on it. But like, how do you find the time and the space to continue innovating when you're also running kind of very large commercial products with a large install base already? And as you said, a lot of things that need to be monitored and managed in terms of quality, semantic meaning, so on and so forth.
You make it a priority. I think you put it front and center. And so managing our customer exposure to data products is a priority. Making sure that they have the best possible experience in that regard. Innovation is a priority. If you speak to anyone at CoreLogic, I think they would probably say that the same for those two things. We're especially because we're shifting into more of a technology company. So I think we have that mindset. Innovation's key. And I think, so for me specifically, I think I have the resources, really a platform, if you will, where I can do that, right? It's the same platform that I use to expose customers to our data assets and data products is also the platform where I innovate, where I have a team where we innovate. And so I think because of that, it makes it, because of the platform, it makes it easier to do both of those things. And yeah. And for transparency, that platform is the Harbr platform. So
yeah. Okay. I mean, if people want to check that, it's called the Discovery Platform by CoreLogic. Is that correct?
It's taken on a new name it will be taken on a new name in 2025, and it will be called Workbench. But historically, yes, it's the Discovery Platform.
So prioritizing it and then making it easy to sort of do both in close proximity to the customer as part of that overall customer experience. Is that fair?
That is fair. Yeah.
Awesome. And you shared a bit about moving towards being a technology company. You shared a bit about renaming your platform. There's a lot happening in the data product space at the moment. I think a lot of people are now managing data products internally, within their organizations and trying to drive that internal value at scale. New data businesses seem to be popping up all the time, built around, one or more data products. And you guys are obviously, been in that space for a very long time. And to your point, right, have prioritized innovation. Where do you see it heading? Like, what's on the horizon? What excites you? What does the future look like?
Yeah, I mean, as a former data scientist, or I guess still kind of current data scientist, I'm really excited about our organization and just really the industry at large leveraging AI. I think I would be remiss to not mention that, simply because I think it'll allow us to either create data products faster, or at least through incorporating in such a way that our users can maybe educate to learn about our data products more succinctly, more quickly, and get through that introduction phase a lot more quickly. And so in the market, I've seen that become more prevalent. I think CoreLogic is looking to incorporate that as well into for our customers. And all of that kind of ties into innovation. I also think that having sort of bite-sized products is
Okay.
going to be it's going to be helpful, particularly through a UI. So interfaces, I've seen that interfaces are really helpful for those business users, for those that may not be the most technically savvy, people that aren't in programming. So interacting with data through interfaces, I think is going to be pretty big. Will continue to be big, and I think CoreLogic also is working on that and providing those kinds of interface based solutions to customers.
And is that about kind of expanding your users, or is that about just making it easier for existing users? Kind of how do you view that?
I think it's a little bit of both. So we definitely have the sort of two different sides of the business, right? It's the multiple sides, but I think it can be distilled to bulk data and solutions. And so we can use solutions to demonstrate the value of bulk data, and we can do more with bulk data and pipe that through solutions. And so for our bulk data audience, they might continue to want to consume via bulk data, but for those solution-based customers, I think the more that we have to offer, even if it's just sort of through finding like through new use case-based solutions, I think that would allow us to increase our the number of customers that we can support.
Cool. I have about 50 more questions, but we're out of time, so we'll have to stop there, and I'll ask you them. I'll ask you them offline. Diego, thank you very much for joining and sharing your experiences. For those watching, you can connect with Diego on LinkedIn and find out more about CoreLogic online. If you're building data products or looking for a data marketplace, check out harbordata.com, and you can also find all of the previous episodes of the Data Product Mindset podcast there. Thank you very much for listening.